Hello and welcome to another episode of In Focus. Highlighting a different college within the university each episode, we hope to give you a glimpse of the amazing students, faculty, staff members, and history of Wichita State University. For this episode, we will feature the Fairmount College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Offering a wide range of degree programs spanning the humanities, social and behavioral sciences, natural sciences, and mathematics, Fairmount College represents a cornerstone to the development of Wichita State University. Combined with resources and applied learning opportunities, the college equips graduates for successful careers almost anywhere. First, we'll take a trip to Skeleton Acres, where Dr. Moore-Jansen and his students use forensic anthropology methods to study mock crime scenes. Located in East Central Butler County, students sharpen their investigation skills by unearthing four-legged skeletons, as well as some two-legged ones. Let's see what kind of interesting things we were able to dig up.
So, welcome to Skeleton Acres. Skeleton Acres was an idea that developed from my serious interest in bringing my students out of the classroom, get them out into the field. The class is forensic anthropology, and it's cross-listed with criminal justice forensic anthropology. And the purpose of the class is to teach anthropology students, forensic science students, criminal justice students, and any students interested in this subject matter, about what anthropologists do in the field and how they collaborate and complement the work of police, law enforcement agencies, and therefore help communities locally, regionally, or even nationally. I guess what we are doing here is setting up mock crime scenes as opposed to have students work on real crime scenes. Well, Skeleton Acres is basically located out in rural Butler County, Kansas. The site is approximately 7.5 acres in size, and it encompasses a number of different microenvironments. This has been extremely beneficial, especially when you're doing forensic research, because no two crime scenes are identical. We have three, basically they're dog kennels. Dog kennels serves as places for doing specialized experiments, such as studies of decomposition. Basically what we do is we lay out pigs. We lay them out in pairs, so we have a control pig and then we have a pig in which we induce trauma. The reason for doing this is so we can compare and contrast what happened to the pig that has trauma induced, right, lying next to the pig that does not, and see if whatever cutting or slicing into the pig affects to varying degrees how it decomposes relative to the control pig.
These have been out here for 3 months, 90 days to be exact today, and they're covered in leaves, unlike the other two sets, because this is the forest one. And after we recover them, after I pick up all the bones, I put them in especially marked bags, and I'll bring them back to the lab and we'll deflesh them more thoroughly. Once we get back there, I will analyze them, looking for any evidence of trauma and weathering that might have taken place while we were out here. This one has 3 cuts on its hindquarters, and this one should have nothing. This is the control. The point of it all is to help in forensic cases where a body was left out intentionally or unintentionally in a forensic setting like this, and help gauge the time since death, manner of death, the existing circumstances before the person was killed or in some way died. I do love the idea of reconstructing crime scenes. It's fascinating. I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, so a lot of the deduction is very interesting to me. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I'm here because Dr. Moore-Jansen is here. That's the main reason. He's very well known and respected within the forensic anthropology community, and my undergraduate advisor recognized that I was ready to switch what I was doing, and said that Moore-Jansen would be great for teaching me the foundational stuff and helping me get on my feet for actually pursuing this as a career potentially.
Skeleton Acres became a reality when I first met David Jackman. Jackman is a donor who still owns his land but has leased this on a permanent basis. I also received a foundation or an endowment And this endowment has allowed me to support students and set up projects out here on a regular basis. Through the years, I think we've had hundreds, not just 800, but hundreds of students out here working in various ways. They work with me, they work sometimes with law enforcement agents who come out here and contribute, their knowledge and help them. Recently, we have engaged in something that I find really fascinating, that is textiles. I have currently 2 students who are engaged in projects working on textile and textile decomposition.
All right, so this is a textile decomposition project, and this is the summer study of the project. And so what I did was I took 12 shirts and I buried them all about 6 inches down, because that's typically the depth of a shallow grave. And so I kind of wanted to simulate a crime scene, or where we would find clothing associated with a crime scene. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at how the clothing breaks down specifically on its own versus what most studies look at is how it breaks down when it's on a body. But within about 2 months, all I was left with was the seam of the shirt, the bottom, and then where the sleeves are. So it was pretty fast progress. And so that's really going to aid in time of death estimations for us. So being able to understand, do the clothes help the process? Does it inhibit the process of decomposition? So in order to dig my shirts up here, because I don't want to affect them at all, so I have to lightly level the area. And then once I know I'm getting fairly close, I switch to a hand trowel, and that just allows me to get a lot closer and be more controlled with how I dig up my shirts, so I don't accidentally put a nice little shovel hole through my stuff and throw off the progress that I'm making with my shirt.
This is master student level research. These people have developed method technique that is very unique, and they will, through this experience in the field that they take back to the lab and analyze, they will develop information that will be, I would call it cutting edge, or at least new to the forensic anthropological literature, at least in terms of the extent. This whole applied learning, this whole context that we can provide here at Skeleton Acres is a major contribution to that. And just contrast that with having everything done in a classroom. I hear so often that the best part of the class, the best part of this experience is when we go out to Skeleton Acres. It's when we go out and we get to do research. It's when we go out and we take our learning from the class and we actually go out here and we spend time working on this recovery and then bring it home and then get to analyze it. Analyzing a skeleton that comes out of a box just isn't the same thing as one that you pulled out of the ground yourself.
Dr. Moore-Jansen has actually helped solve several real murders and is highly regarded by police and detectives throughout the state. To learn more about his work, just follow the links in the description below this video. Up next, you've heard of shooting for the stars, but one WSU professor is aiming for the big one right at the center of our solar system. Physics professor Nick Salome recently received an award and funding from NASA for his research to develop a neutrino detector that will travel as close to the sun as possible. The purpose of the project is to study the sun's solar interior and the mysterious neutrino particle. So put on your shades and let's take a closer look.
Hello, I'm Nicholas Salome, professor of physics at Wichita State University. I have an ongoing, very exciting new project that NASA is funding, and the project is about studying the inner core and working of the solar furnace that generates all the light and energy that sustains life on the Earth. We want to understand how that nuclear fusion core is working, and I want to study it by looking deep in the heart of the sun with neutrinos. Neutrinos are these elusive particles of elementary particle physics that could traverse huge distances of space without interacting, and they could come quickly out of the sun where they could then be detected on Earth. But detecting them here on Earth has some limitations because the intensity is very low, plus you can't measure all the properties of these fundamental neutrino particles when you're this far away. But we are proposing to take a new spacecraft that'll take a spacecraft close to the sun, 7 to 3 solar radii, so that the spacecraft itself will be able to get an enhanced amount of neutrinos in a very small detector volume of an actual size satellite, which is no bigger than 2 human people and standing on top of each other.
So basically it's looking, in order to find the neutrinos, it has to find these 2 events in sequence.
The neutrinos coming from the core of the sun, of course, are very rare events here on Earth. And by going close to the sun, we'll increase these events by 1,000 to 10,000 folds. But still, we have to deal with the galactic cosmic rays and the galactic gamma rays. Those produce in a given day like 30 or 40 million individual signal events.
So we have to refine the way the detector looks for these events in order to best find the neutrinos in question.
The starting nature of this project leaves a lot of room for undergraduates like me who don't have a whole lot of experience to be able to work on it. This project in particular is very multifaceted. It has a lot of different areas of physics that it applies to. That'd be astrophysics, nuclear physics, particle physics. All are very interesting to me.
Oh yeah, so not the Helios. That's the old one. I was asked by Caleb after Dr. Salome saw how much I enjoyed the computational physics lab and like the thought process of computer coding. And it piqued my interest because I'm interested in space, and this could provide really cool insights into how stars work, and there are a couple other ideas floating around for later projects.
These students have the ability to work on a very advanced research concept. And in this process, they'll actually learn how to work as a team. They'll learn how to work on various physics aspects and questions that we have to answer to understand the performance reliability and the performance efficiency of this detector. And these simulations are great tools that could someday not just help them do particle physics, but they could do medical research with these simulation tools. They could be able to look at the geology and taking neutrinos from the sun to, say, image the Earth and look for geological features such as natural gas and oil deposits.
Okay, so this is an image of a simulated interaction, a simulated particle interaction with the detector. And
there's a lot of applied learning that could be done from this what at first appears to be a very fundamental physics question. But the side outcomes might be very important for other aspects of engineering and research.
Salome says the next phase of his research will involve developing a test apparatus of the neutrino detector and ultimately sending it into space to test how well it functions in a zero-gravity environment. And lastly, what's the one thing that humans all around the world have in common? We all gotta eat. Assistant Professor Rocio del Aguila expands on this idea in the first-year seminar, Food and Culture Hispanic World, that focuses on food and its cultural meaning. In the course, students study and sample ethnic foods to better understand the people and traditions of countries around the world. Let's check it out.
So my name is Rocio del Aguila, and I go by Chio. And this class is Food and Culture in Latin America. And I taught it at a 600 level course in Spanish. And now I'm teaching it as a first year seminar. But the class is not basically just food. It's what is the cultural component and what is the importance of everything that is surrounding food.
So I think that, for example, if you're coming from a Mexican tradition and you have had mole, chili with dark chocolate, and it was dark, would make a lot of sense because it's a flavor that somehow you've had part in food.
So a class like this I think is really beneficial because you can take a look at other cultures that you're not familiar with, specifically Hispanic ones for this class. And you really get to look at things in a way that you haven't yet.
Like one class period we had like different examples of chocolate, except the thing is it was kind of like a blindfold test. She would give us like a random piece of chocolate and we were supposed to like taste it. And then just based off of the taste, we were supposed to like guess if it was like cheap chocolate, expensive chocolate, or how where it was from or what type of chocolate it was.
First, they have to smell it, and then they have to see it and touch it. So they're using all their senses to understand this little piece of chocolate.
Same exercise. Smell, see. When you get your chocolate, smell, see. Okay. What? Okay. What is it? One more time. Smell it.
It's just bitter. It's not sweet.
How do you know? You haven't tried it yet.
The smell. It doesn't smell like
Food, we use all our senses, and that's a wonder. Now that you've had the chocolate, please talk with your group. What do I know from this little piece of chocolate?
milk chocolate, light chocolate. I don't taste the flavor at all.
That was really cool actually, because I personally found out that I liked something that I had no idea that I was going to like. And I know the one specifically that I really liked was the chili infused chocolate, and then just actually tasting different kinds of something that we all have this one idea of what it tastes like, when it can taste like so many different things.
Yesterday, what we did was basically, we tried making like a Peruvian dish, kind of. It was like a native Peruvian dish with like the potatoes. It was kind of, everyone got to do whatever they wanted, so like all the ingredients were laid out there for you, and you got to choose basically how you made it.
Students really like to get out of the classroom. This experience was to try to create something completely new from a recipe that was given to them.
When we were in Chakra Hall and I made my dish for the assignment that we were doing, I basically made mine, it was pretty much around ignorance, I guess, like just trying different things when I really had no idea what that was going to taste like, but I knew I wanted to try it. But it was basically just kind of winging it a little bit and trying my best with my limited experience with the food on the table to make it into something that I thought was a variety.
So all the students, I think, when they come and they realize that this is not about food and cooking or eating, but all the culture that it's around it, they become not only very much aware, but they really like to discuss and to know and to learn what is the tradition, or what is the delicacy, or what is being eaten in other parts of the world.
I guess it opens your mind to other people's opinions, because obviously no one really thinks the same. So it's good to get other people's viewpoints and how they perceive the world compared to yours.
You might think, oh no, they're going to not enjoy, or they might not do it. And at the end, everyone wants to try everything, and they want to try new recipes, and they want to eat new foods. And I think that it's a very nice way of opening doors for each of them, especially if they come in from small communities. It's a wonderful experience because they see all this world and they want to try it.
Del Aguila has published scholarly articles on food representation in literature and has even done a TED Talk on the cultural importance of food. You can check out that video by following the link in the description. That will do it for this episode of In Focus. To check out more episodes or for other great WSU video content, make sure to subscribe to WSU TV on YouTube. Plus, now you can download the new WSU TV app on Roku and Apple TV. Thanks again, we'll see you next time.